Hi folks, it's Dash of Dave here. Now, I know I haven't been around for some time, so the world has been on lockdown and I have been working. So I am a key worker, so I've been carrying on doing lots of stuff. But I've brought you this today. Now, this is like Franken paper or scrap paper, or however you choose to call it. It's basically all the little bits of paper that we all get as crafters that, you know, we kind of don't use up. We have, if you're anything like me, you keep a little bag of bits that you haven't quite used and you can't bear to throw them away. So we're going to make this paper. Now I've made this for the purpose of writing on. So you could use it as journal cards. Now that wasn't what I was initially going to do. I was going to make some nice writing paper so I could write my mum a letter. I liked it so much, I thought I was kind of just trying to use up scraps basically. And I kind of thought, you know what? I like that. I'm going to use that for some journal cards. Now, the reason why it's a bit different is because if you ever use napkins for the decoupage stuff, so you know when we use like napkins like this and you only use the top layer of it and you tear out the bits that you like, etc. Well, the problem is if you buy some of these napkins or serviettes or what you choose to call them, they're usually 3-ply or at the very minimum 2-ply. So that means there are 2 other layers that you don't use. So what do you do with those layers? Take that bit off. So put that to one side. So when you have them, they come like this, don't they? They come like a 3-ply. And when we decoupaging with them, we only use the top layer. Okay, so that means that you're left with some of these. Well, 2 of these, so a surface of these and another one on top is how we make this. So it's basically sandwiching the paper between 2 layers, which means that you can use any kind of paper. You can use foil, you can use glitter, you can use flakes, so gilding flakes, you can use anything you like, shiny paper, whatever you like, wax paper, it doesn't matter, because it's sandwiched between the 2 layers of paper that you can then write on. Now, the whole reason was to use this up because I find this really wasteful. If I'm buying these, packs of these, if you buy a pack of 20 of these and you take 2 layers off that you don't use, that's 40 sheets of paper you've just thrown away. And you know what us crafters are like. We like to keep those kind of things, don't we? Like to, you know, we don't like throwing things away. We like to put it away to one side. You never know when that might come in handy. Well, I found a way for that to come in handy. So, first of all, I just want to go through a couple of things with you. How do you get these things apart? Now, the easiest way that I've found to take these apart, you might already do this, you might already know, but the easiest way is use a piece of sticky tape in the corner, push it down, and then lift it up, and it should peel, and it peels it apart, and you might be able to then grab hold of, I don't know whether you can see this. Okay, didn't do a very good job. It's always better on off camera than it is on camera. Okay, pull it up, pull it, tease it, and if you tease it enough, what you'll get is it'll start to pull away. So like this. So it's now splitting. Oh, you can't see that, can you, Dave? Get that piece of sellotape off my finger. Because you could sit there and just try and pull it apart if you like. But what you end up doing is you end up ripping both bits. So there you go, you split that, so you can pull that off. Okay, so that's another piece that I will use later. Okay, put that to one side as well. And then take your sellotape again and do it again in the corner. Pull it until it kind of rips. You can see when it goes darker, you've pulled it apart. Pull, keep going. Now what I like about this, so you've got the top layer with a very definite pattern on it, but this next layer This next layer has got a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a little bit of colour to it, so a little bit of pattern on it, and that's really nice to put over the surface of your Franken paper or your scrap paper, and gives you just another dimension. So anyway, let's get on. So now I'm going to keep that to one side because we might use that later. Okay, so what are you gonna need? Okay, so what are you going to need? You are going to need glue sticks. I go through so many glue sticks. Okay, now I buy Elmer's. I find Elmer's glue is really good for the decoupage stuff. So gluing things like tissue paper, because it's very soft. Okay, but this in the UK especially is very expensive because I have to buy it off Amazon, and it's not cheap. It cost me about £3 for one of those, whereas this, which you can see is a giant version of that, this is 7 grams, this is 40 grams, and this cost me £1.50 from Tesco. And this, of all the own brands, I will say this is the best. I actually prefer it to that other well-known brand. Okay, the Pritt one. Okay, it's Pritt stick in the UK, by the way. We don't have Elmer's. Okay, so a glue stick like this, I would suggest you use a non-stick mat. I mean, you can use your glass mat or your cutting mat or whatever. I would suggest a non-stick mat. The thing with that is when you're using a sheet of paper like this, it's quite porous, which means that when you put glue on it, it'll seep through, and you might end up getting to the end of the paper and you've just covered it all nicely and then you can't take it off. And that's devastating. Okay, so one of these non-stick mats. Now you can go to a craft store or an online craft place, or you can go to Shopping Channel and buy these, and they'll cost you probably a tenner, £15. I've seen them for 20 quid. This is an oven liner, and this was from Aldi, and it cost me £2.99. So I've had it for years. So don't go and buy expensive stuff. You really don't need it. The people that are trying to sell you expensive stuff, they're trying to make money out of you, and I'm not. So anyway, just gonna have my coffee. Hang on. So the other things that you'll need besides your glue is you'll need some scraps of paper. You can even use sweet wrappers. You know, lots of crafters keep these and they think, oh, I'll keep that. I don't know what I'll use it for. And like, then you don't know what you use it for and you just keep it. So, and it's a great way to declutter, or your little bag of scraps. So literally, I mean, like this, for instance, this is literally a piece of scrap. This is when I use my blades, my cutting knife. This is what my blades come in. So take measure from that big well-known Swedish superstore. So that's closed at the moment because everywhere is. So let's get started. So what you're going to need first is you are going to need a napkin sheet. Now don't worry about it. It's got a bit of a hole in it. Doesn't matter if your moustache has just dribbled onto it, like mine has. I'm not suggesting you have a moustache. Doesn't matter which way up you put it. You'll need a piece of this. Okay. You also then need your first piece of paper, and all we're going to do is going to make Franken paper. And if you've never made it, then join in while I do it. If you've made it before, then join in while I do it. But we're just going to do, you want to craft while I do this, that's entirely up to you. So just going to get started. Now, why do I like the Tesco glue? Because it's got a nice texture to it. It's quite soft. It's not as soft as the Elmer's, I will just say. It's sticky. And I find it actually sticks better than that other one, that other brand I just spoke of. Now, obviously, if they don't like it, they'll have to lump it because they're not sponsoring me for this. Okay, so start sticking down bits of paper. Got magazines, and you thought, oh, I quite like the colours on that, or it was just a sheet of paper that you wanted. Glue it down, doesn't matter. What I will say is try and keep the square bits for the corners because it just makes it obviously easier. Okay, and I will also say if you've got coloured pieces of paper, let me see if I can find a coloured piece of paper. So something, let's say something like this, and you think, oh, I really like that. I want to use that, but where shall I put it? Don't get precious about it. I would suggest you've got nice pattern paper, stick it face down, and then you have less control over it. And I think you get a much nicer result when it's a bit more random. So I'm going to put this piece down. So it's got a nice flat edge. Put it down. You'll see there's a little gap there, a little space. Don't worry about it. We can always come back and infill it with things like this at the end. We'll keep the sweet wrappers for a little bit. We'll get our first layer on. Now, I would suggest you only use paper. Don't use card. If you're going to send it as writing paper, because you won't be able to fold it and bend it in the same way. Bearing in mind you're building up the layers here. Okay, so add a bit of that. So what have we got here? Add a piece of this. That's in my scrap bag. Oh, there's everything in my scrap bag. So once again, like I say, don't get too precious about it. Just glue it and stick it down. So, I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're all enjoying, or trying at least to enjoy, lockdown. Don't worry about if you go over the edge. You can trim it off later, it's fine. Blimey, I've gone over the edge several times of late. Don't worry about white spaces as well. They can get covered up. They also, it looks quite nice. If you look on my original one, I've got a few white spaces that actually add something to it. Yes, I hope you haven't gone over the edge in your lives. Lockdown is affecting people in different ways. Some people are loving it, some people are hating it. But you know what? We're doing it for the good of other people, not just ourselves. So it's good to be, thinking about other people for a change. The world needed it, I think. Not, obviously they didn't need coronavirus. I'm not wishing that on anybody. But I think the world needed just a bit of pulling back and stopping being a bit stopping being so selfish, and just taking stock of what we actually have. And I think a lot of people have started to do that, especially with, certainly for instance myself, my neighbours. I've never spoken to my neighbours so much. In fact, I actually know my neighbours now. We're all kind of, well, not all of us, there's a few of us that are friends on Facebook now, and that would never have happened. So I kind of feel like I've taken stock of what I've got, and it's made me feel better about things. I feel more comfortable in the area that I live in, and I feel that I know people, and nobody, I wouldn't suggest that anybody wants to be living hand to mouth in somebody else's house, or inviting themselves round or anything like that. But you can have good friends and safe distancing. You can be friendly with people without being around their houses every night. This is obviously after lockdown. Don't go around people's houses at the minute. I'm not endorsing that. What else have I got here? So we often dye bits of book paper, don't we? And then we end up with the ones that we kind of think, it's all right. I don't really want to use it. Well, use it on things like this. We'll use it up. I actually put any glue on that bit now. Oh. I wish they were hexagonal, those things, because when you lie them down, they want to roll away. Design flaw. I think it makes it nice and interesting if you put things like this on it. You can always, dye them, or use tea dye strips of paper, or you could, use your inks on them. It's entirely up to you. It's whatever you want to do. It's your paper. I'm not telling you what to do. If you want me to tell you what to do, you better come and work for me, all right? So I'm just gluing randomly. I don't know about you, but like my desk ends up getting in a right state, a right 2 and 8. There you go, nice bit of bright paper there. Like I say, don't worry about any white bits. Not like when you're going on holiday. Oh, blimey. Worry about when you can't get it off the paper. Oh, there you go. It's not like when you're going on holiday. You don't have to worry about your white bits. Use anything. Use it all up. Could you even use like wrap, you know, old wrapping paper that you've been keeping? I'm sure you're a typical crafter and you've got hordes of things that you think, oh, I've kept that for just in case, and that just in case never came to fruition. What else is in here? Bits of envelope. You see, I would say that this is too thick. This is a piece of card, so I would suggest don't use it, especially when I write on it, because you've got to think you'll have like undulations on it. It makes it difficult to write as it is. Oh, Dave, you're just sticking the wrong bit down there. Like I say, if you've got white bits that you think it's too big a white space, glue that bit down. That way it stops you being precious about the pattern and forming interesting patterns, and it just lets you just do the job and gives you a bit more random look. But also it means that you've got somewhere to cover up your white bits later. Covering up your white bits. There we go again. A little bit. Go a bit more random. So what have you been doing in lockdown? Anybody been making anything nice? Not that you're gonna. If you start replying to me now, I'm going to start to get a bit worried because, well, as far as I'm aware, it's not a two-way communication we have today. But you know. So what you've been up to? Leave me a message down below and let me know. Leave a message down below and let me know. Dave, you've turned into a poet and you didn't know it. I certainly didn't know it. What have I been doing? A lot of work. I've done a lot of work. I actually work more hours whilst working from home than I do when I'm working at work. A lot of our staff were furloughed, so we don't have as many staff to rely on to do the duties that we have, so we're all doing other people's jobs. It adds to the variety, and you know what they say about variety, it's the spice of life. Just in case you didn't know, that's what they say about variety. So we've been quite busy at work because we're a charity. We've taken on some charitable duties. We're now coordinating all the delivery of food and medicine parcels to the vulnerable in the area, and I helped to set that up and coordinate it. I have been dealing with everybody's IT issues because that's, well, turned into part of my job. I was always in charge of IT, but now I'm kind of doing it as well. And that's, you know, sometimes that means that I get out and about because I have to go to people's houses to help them with things, or it might mean that that I spend a lot of time on the phone trying to sort out issues for people's internet connections, or dialing in, remotely accessing their computers so that they can get back online. It's all highly boring for you guys. I love it, but you know, I'm a geek, so what can I say? And then in my downtime, when I'd have some, doesn't happen often, but when I do have some downtime, this is what I do. I've been crafting a lot. I haven't been doing a lot of videos because, well, just because I've been getting on with making stuff rather than filming stuff. You wouldn't believe how, well, unless you do it, you wouldn't believe how much time it takes to set up to be able to do any kind of like videos. I mean, like, for instance, today it took me 20 minutes just to clear my desk. Maybe some of you are a bit tidier crafters than I am, and if you are, good for you, but it's never going to change me. I don't see it as mess. It's kind of, it's artistic. I'm being artistic in my placement of things. And I'm sticking to it. I'm literally sticking to that. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of crafts. Nothing like exciting. Just making lots of. Well, I'd say nothing exciting. It is exciting. I'm doing journal cards and those sort of things. I'm not being evasive. I'm being a politician. No, a politician. Get your words out, Dave. Get your act together. Yeah. So I'm just being. I can't remember what I was talking about. I'll tell you something now, that's one thing that's happening, and my memory is going, and my ability to converse is, I'm losing it. I'm losing the ability to talk to people, because I sit at home all day, quiet, and I'm the only one talking, and I'm only talking in my head. So I kind of forget whether I'm able to talk anymore. Maybe we're all going to evolve and just have massive thumbs from texting, or in my case, big index fingers from typing, because I can't touch type. Tickets. I know you're all screaming at me thinking, what are you using tickets? You've got to remember this is going to my mum. This is my mama. I was going to get this, and so she's precious to me, so I'm sending her piece of paper made out of some of my precious things, and scraps, obviously. Don't tell her that bit though. What was I saying about losing my memory? Ironically, what was I saying about losing my memory? Yeah, so I kind of forgotten how to talk, and I've forgotten things. I have no idea about what day of the week it is, or I believe it's the 1st of May today. Knock me down with a feather for telling me that. I had no idea. That bit's a bit big, I think. Where I want to go there. So yeah, it's not like I've been anywhere. I've ordered a lot of things on Amazon. Amazon has become my new best friend. Now, I've always been an Amazon Prime member, not always, obviously. Not since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, because they didn't exist then. But for a long, long time, I've been an Amazon shopper, and you know, this is exciting for that. So for a long time I've been an Amazon shopper, but you buy things every now and again, and they kind of get their money out of you whether you buy anything or not. But I have really used my membership the last few months. Just months, weeks, really. Just buying stuff. I miss buying stuff. I miss going to a shop and actually physically buying stuff. I don't know if everybody else is feeling like that, whether kind of think, oh, I don't miss shopping at all. I miss going and buying stuff, and like even going to the supermarket. I used to quite enjoy going to the supermarket. I know that's mad as well. There are some of you saying, what? But yeah, I used to enjoy going to the supermarket. Sometimes I like finish work and go via the supermarket and just have a wander around and see what they've got, and look in their crafty area and buy stuff. But now it's oh, it's horrible. It's not a nice experience shopping. You buy things because you need them now, not because it's an enjoyable experience. I don't know whether other people are feeling like that, or whether that is just me. But it's definitely not an enjoyable experience for me. I do get a bit, it can make me feel quite anxious being in that supermarket environment. And what is it about people and social distancing? Come on. They've asked us to stay 2 meters apart. 2 meters. 6 foot. 2 meters. What is it that you don't get about 2 meters? Not you, but what is it about those people that don't get about 2 meters? Now, you might be thinking, you know, you might be one of those people that says, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. No, you might not care, but I do. So stay away. You never know. I could be carrying it and you might get it off me. So, you know, I just want people to stay away. It's not a lot to ask. I just want people to be a bit considerate of your space and my space. Although that social media platform no longer is. Well, I don't know. Does it exist? I don't think I've been on MySpace for years. Showing my age. I don't know what a MySpace is. Some of you hip and trendy down with the kids like type. Like I've said before, I can get down with the kids, so I just can't get back up again. I know it's an old joke. I keep saying it, telling you that every video, I think. It's like I say, don't like going shopping. It's not an enjoyable experience. It's people just not social distancing. Some people are social distancing but just don't get it. Some people aren't covering their faces when they cough or sneeze. It's like, literally, it's like, oh, you'd like to get Ebola out there rather than just COVID. And you know, I actually think I've had it, to be fair. I think I had it when I was very poorly over the Christmas period. But I don't know. And you don't know that you can't get it again. And just because you're not in a high risk group doesn't mean to say you don't know somebody that is. So just give them a break. And just keep your distance. I'm getting picky. The whole idea of this is not to get precious, and then like I'll spend 3 days trying to find a bit that I really like. You could put anything in here as well. There's a bit there. I'll put that in. A bit of green there. That's doing nothing. I'll keep going for that brightly coloured stuff. Although it did fall out, to be fair. It wasn't an actual choice. This is what I was looking for. A bit of paper. Just a bit of paper. Yeah, so, and also when you go into the supermarket, you have to queue up outside. It's horrible. I mean, like, you know, I know we're talking about first world problems, really, comparative to the rest of the world that, you know, struggle for food every day. We're not really that hard done by, are we? But it's still a bit of shock to the system. And I'm not even sure I'll be able to cope when I go back to work. I'm not sure that my mental health is going to be ready for that, to be able to just go back in and carry on like it never happened. And also, I don't know how much back to normal it'll go. What is normal, to be fair. But, you know, like, because we won't be able to we won't be able to get socially close again for a while because it'll still be there. So we'll still have to socially distance, especially when people are vulnerable in the community. So, you know, we're all going to be sat at our desks with our face masks on, you know, doing our jobs, not really talking because nobody will be able to hear each other because One thing a face mask does do is it muffles what you want to say. It's also great for hiding those facial expressions, and it's fantastic for people like me. That means that they don't have to do anything to their moustache. So I can go to work with a bad moustache day and nobody will ever know. And then when I do take it off and they see my moustache, and I'll just say, oh, it's because it gets so sweaty in there. It's all gone limp and been affected by the moisture. Right, covers so many styling mistakes. And then, what have I enjoyed about lockdown? Oh, you know what I've loved? The silence. It's beautiful. You can hear the birds. I was going to say you can hear the birds squeaking in the tree, but if they're squeaking in the tree, there's something wrong with them. You can hear the birds singing in the tree. That's the word I was looking for, singing. Hear the birds singing in the trees. You can hear you can't hear any crickets, because if you can hear crickets, then you're not in the UK, and you shouldn't be able to hear anybody playing cricket either. But you can hear, the bats at night. You can hear them actually fluttering as they fly by. I love watching the bats. I quite like bats anyway. But at night, well, even during the day, to be fair, I live fairly close to the M62, and I can hear the M62 quite often. There's not like as in a thunderous noise, but there's a definite hum there normally. That was, you could tell instantly after lockdown that was no longer there. It was just weird. It was just like you knew something was missing, but I couldn't put my finger on it for a few days, and then it suddenly dawned on me, it's the M62 I can't hear. So that's nice, not having to listen to that drone all the time, although I'm not looking forward to it being back. And also not hearing aeroplanes in the sky, because I think we kind of get used to it, don't we? They're just there. You don't really pay much attention to them being there. They're just there. And then when they stop being there, you're suddenly like, what, hey? What's going on? And when one flies over, one flew over today, and I literally stopped in the field and took a photo of it. What's that all about? So I see taking photographs of aeroplanes. I'll be wearing anoraks next. I'll just put a nice piece of paper. I like that because it's quite shimmery. So yeah, there's the wildlife seems to be coming back. Foxes are definitely getting a bit more brave. They're starting to edge closer in, and they get closer to human beings. They need to watch themselves. It's like human beings are still horrible people. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. But yeah, they're getting a bit more brazen. I've seen, what else have I seen? I've seen birds that I haven't seen for years. Like I saw a blue tit and a grey tit the other day. I haven't seen any of those for a long time. I mean, I'm talking literally probably about 1990 since the last time I saw one. I think they just feel like they're able to come into the area a bit more. There's no, they're put off by the noise, I'm going to be honest, I am too. Looking for nice other bits. This is when you start like going into the free catalogues that you've been given. Oh, look, there's a bit there, and I just think, I'll have a bit of that. I'll have a bit of that. I like the front and back page as well, but I'm not going to do anything like that. So you don't have to just use up what you've got. Let's have a look, see where we are. Let's have a looky see. try and cover up your little holes. Best way to do that is hold it up to a light. Are there any major holes? There's an extra piece of paper stuck to it for some reason. There's a little hole there where the ticket hole is. Not over there. I think we're kind of done for that bit. Now, what you can then start doing is these white bits. Now, I told you not to worry about the bits underneath. So, but the white bits, because you glued the nice bit of the paper down, then you can always go back in and infill it. Now, I wouldn't suggest that you use your thick paper. Remember, it's going to start building up and becoming a bit impossible to use. So this is when your sweet papers come in, because you can kind of make them a bit more random shapes. Put a bit of glue on it. Put a bit of glue on it, Dave, and get it stuck down like that. Get it stuck down. And maybe a bit of foil. Sometimes it, yeah, sticky fingers, hey? Sometimes it's easier to stick glue down and stick the things on top. Well, if I put it face down for Dave, I have no idea. Because I did, and I could. So, no questioning me. Maybe a bit here. Cellophane. I don't know whether you like me, but every bit of cellophane I ever get off sweets I kind of save. I don't really do very. I occasionally make a couple of stained glass things at Christmas, or you know, a lantern or something, but I don't often use this. And this is a great way to use things like this up, because it's not very thick, it's not going to add bulk, it's also going to mean that you're kind of upcycling, because, you know, we shouldn't really be using lots of cellophane because it's not very good for the environment. You can stick it down. Like I say, get your gilding flakes out if you want to. What else have I got here? What else do I have, Dave? Maybe what's this? This is one of those like faux stamp things. There's one here that I kind of pulled off and thought, oh no, I won't use that, I'll use something else. And it never gets stuck down properly again. So stick that down. That's what kids outside are screaming. They're not my kids. I don't have kids, that's why. So you can stick that down. What else do we have then? This is when this area here, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it's all started to get a little bit of a mess. Anything you like you might want a bit of text, you might think, oh, I quite fancy a bit of text over there. Do it. It's your paper. Do it. Just do it. Started to make a fool of myself on screen lately as well. We're having a lot of Zoom meetings, so I bet, you know something, I wish I had shares in Zoom. Wished I'd known about Zoom before all of this, because, jeez, that company must be making a mint now. Loads of I know you get 40 minutes free, but loads of companies are subscribed to Zoom, and they're using Zoom more, and I bet their share prices have gone up. If you had shares in Zoom, then maybe we should know each other. Maybe you're rich now. Maybe you're, I was going to say, maybe you're listening to me on your Caribbean island, but if you are, you're breaking lockdown, you should need to go back now. I wonder if you are on your Caribbean island. Anyway, shut up, Dave. Carry on with it. I'm just going to tidy these few bits up. I know this is not very interesting watching me tidy. If it was, you know, we could have a whole series of me tidying. There's a nice bit of blue here. kept these out because I've wanted a bit of these. Let's do a bit of that. I think it's interesting because it's got some holes. I've obviously hole punched that for something. I shall stick that. It's a nice bit of tissue paper, so it's not going to be thick and it's not going to add too much bulk to things. Don't worry about over gluing because you're going to be sticking another layer of tissue on, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, because this is, well, I'm not saying there's a technique, because I'm not saying I know what I'm doing really. I also want to point out that I don't know whether this was some people are already doing this. I haven't seen anybody else do it, but I'm not I'm not claiming to be the author of this, the creator, the originator of this. I'm just showing you something that I found quite exciting, and I thought, you know something, I'm going to give that a go. And I did it myself, and I thought, oh, I like that. I wonder if other people might like that. So I thought I'd show you guys. So if I like it, you might like it. Let's put a randomly torn out baby chick on it, shall we? Just as a bit of comic relief. The other thing you could do is, and the other thing that I have done on the other sheet of paper is, just tear this out, stick it somewhere, there you go. The bits of paper that you use when you use your napkins. Now, we all get napkins and we've used all the bits that we like this one looks like it's been eaten by some kind of caterpillar. You could always tear out other bits that you quite like. Now for this, that I'm going to just show you the reason why I like Elmer's for this is, although this is nice general all-purpose glue, this is so much softer, and this means that you can put this on and you're not running a risk of tearing this. You don't need to worry about too much about whether it's all on properly, because you're going to sandwich it in a minute. Going to make a sandwich. We all like a nice sandwich every now and again, don't we? Let's just put another bit of something else on it. A bit of a flower here. There's my Elmer's done. So if it hadn't have been for my dog, I would have gone insane during lockdown, because I've had him to talk to and very few other people. Obviously when I go back into work and have to go and pick things up or go and do stuff, but generally I'm not seeing many people. So I've been talking to the dog a lot. Obviously it gives me that look like, I don't care what you're saying to me, Dad. Just feed me, just walk me, just fuss me. So anyway, we've done all of those bits. Let me stop throwing things just randomly, Dave, because this is when you go, where did I put that? Okay, so now we've got that down, I'm just going to move these out of the way, because I would suggest you move anything that's going to likely to get stuck to your page. Okay, so we've got this. Now what we need is, we just need another layer. Now, you can decide, you can have it lay it out and decide, does that add anything to it with the lemons on it, or would you prefer it with just, somebody will be screaming at the screen now. I actually think I prefer it without. I think if I was using more pastel-y colours, that might show up nicely. But I like it like that. Now, I will suggest to you, you do not try to glue this Even with your soft Elmer's glue, don't try to glue this. What you do need to do is you need to glue this. So I would suggest that you go around the edge. Don't do the full page, do half. So say that you're going to come to here. This is going to be your halfway mark, which is halfway through the page, and then get a good layer of glue on here. Don't worry about sticky up bits, because you can just sticky down them. Sticky up, sticky down. Going over. Just, oh, doesn't matter if it rips, it's fine. It's all going to get glued down. There are no mistakes. We know there are no mistakes in crafting, don't we? We've all learned that. Not that any of us take any notice of it, because we all give ourselves a hard time when we make a mistake. But anyway, so once that's down, I would then suggest that you line it up on this side, the bit that you haven't glued, and get it where you think it's going to go, and then lay it down. Now, don't lay it completely until you're happy, because it'll give you a little bit of time to give it a wiggle. We all need a bit of a wiggle. The next thing that you may well need is your Tesco club card. Now, it doesn't have to be a Tesco club card. Your whichever loyalty card or old credit card. I wouldn't suggest that you use your latest credit card that's just come through the post, because you might need that after lockdown. Teasing things out, doesn't matter if it creases a little bit, but you're just using your credit card or your card or your loyalty card or whatever it is, your Tesco club card if you want to, like I am. You're using that to just smooth it down, just to make sure it gets contact. And then peel it back a bit. Now, you might not have got all the way across the full half, so pull it back as far as you can, and then glue the rest of it. Make sure you get a nice layer of glue on that line as well. Don't go over this, you'll start to pull it and it'll rip holes in it. It's not the end of the world, but I don't want you screaming and having a fit about it. Oh, it's all gone wrong, I'm no good at this. I've heard you all. We're all the same. That's why I've had some right tantrums about about things not going right. And actually, in the end, you know, at the end of the day, nobody else knows. Only you know that it wasn't the way that you planned it to be. You know. So anyway, gluing this down, you can probably see it at a better angle than I can, whether I've got all of that glued. I think I'm kind of there. There's a bit there that might not be. Don't worry about it drying. As long as you're not taking 40 minutes to do this, you should be all right. Make sure those edges are good, because it's the edges that will peel up. You can guarantee it. And then take the rest of this and then lie it over this way, and you can pull it a bit tauter this time because you've got a nice glued bit. You can pull it taut, get it nice and stuck, and then smoothing out. Okay, if you've got a brayer, you don't have to have a brayer, but if you've got a brayer, it's a good idea just to go over it. Just make, oh, sugar. I swore on camera then. Just gives you a bit of a chance to stick it all down. Oh, squeaky rollers. It's like every trolley I get from the supermarket, that. Oh, it's still squeaking. Okay, so that's it. So now this is what we've got. So this is what our new bit of paper looks like. Now you could cover up your white spaces a bit more if you wanted to, or you can leave it like I have. But I think that looks marvellous. Let me put my lid back on my glue. Okay. So really simple and easy and quick. How big are these? These 13 inches. So you're basically getting some 12 by 12 sheets of paper there. Now, how great is that for scrapbooking? That's literally scrapbooking paper, or you could use it as like I'm gonna cut it down and make some nice sheets of note paper and write to my mummy on there. Like I say, you can use your foil because you've put a paper surface over it. It means then you can write over the top of it. I just think that is brilliant. Now, I would suggest that you leave that to dry. This one This one dried overnight, okay, and it's great. It's lovely. I'm really chuffed with it. And hopefully you will be too, because I tell you now, you've got bits of scrap paper. You have bits of scrap paper that you haven't told anybody else about. The reason why you haven't told anybody is because you can't remember they're there. So I can guarantee to you now that you've got some bits. And if you don't have some bits, you'll have some of these free magazines that come through. Look how bright and colourful all of these are. And the other good thing about doing it this way is because you're putting this layer over, it just mutes back all of those colours, all of those bright colours that were in your face. They're all like just toned back a bit, which means you can write over them now. So even the bits that were quite dark grey that you wouldn't have been able to write on, you can now because you'll be able to see it. So there you go. That's just a little tutorial. I don't know what it's Franken letter. No, answers on a postcard as to what you would call it. If somebody's already done it, tell me what they've called it. Like I say, I'm not making any claims to it, but you know, if I'm the first person to do it, then I'm the first person to do it. I'm making no big thing about it. It's just it's the 1st of May 2020, so remember I did it first. No, no, I'm only kidding. So yeah, have a go, have a play. You can make all sorts of things out of this. You know, it's just a good way to use up some bits of paper that you would ultimately throw away. These bits that you've pulled off these things. Oh, not these things. Where are they? That you've pulled off these things. So you use these and you throw these away. No longer. You keep these and you make these things out of it. Then you'll end up taking these apart just to be able to make more of these. And then there'll be a whole other video on that. So anyway. So this is Dash of Dave. I am off now. I'm going to go and I've just finished my day. I finished my day about an hour ago. And I am now going to go and relax and chill out and go and watch some Netflix, catch up on the world, probably watch the news, which is all doom and gloom these days. But I will see you all around sometime. Remember, we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. I'm not singing it because Captain Tom does it a lot better than I do, trust me. So, take care of yourselves. Lots of love. Remember, stay in, stay safe, keep crafting, stay happy, and most of all, it's physical distancing and socially connected. So, tell your friends you love them, catch up with old friends, rekindle old friendships that have fizzled out. I love you all. Love each other. Have a great crafty day. Spread the word of kindness. And this is Dash of Dave, over and out from my quarantined prison. Otherwise also known as my house. So, I will bid you adieu, and you have a lovely day, evening, afternoon, morning, midnight, whatever time of day it is that you're watching this. Remember, I love you all. Sending kisses, cheeky, extra kiss. Oh, you can have another kiss because we're on lockdown. All right, you take care, folks. And a big hug. Crafty hugs. And I'll see you soon. Bye.